We tested carbon dioxide, which is a dissolved gas in the water, and that was less than 10. But again, because this sample had a lot of air in it, might not be completely accurate. So as a backup, I tested for copper, because if the carbon dioxide was in the water, it would be corrosive to the copper pipes, and then we get a copper reading no matter what. But I didn't get a copper reading.
But look, the chlorine is much lower. Yeah.
So wait, yours is lower?
My chlorine is much lower.
Three houses apart.
Carol's is
Was this rinsed out real
0.17.
well?
I rinsed out just once before I filled it.
Bob rinsed it
And mine
3
is
times.
0.05. Yeah.
I mean, it can fluctuate, you know, depending on a lot of
Okay.
things. I mean, chlorine-
But what's the difference?
Carol's is 0.17, mine is 0.05.
Yeah, so way lower.
Wow, that's a huge difference. Yeah.
But TDS is higher.
A little bit higher,
By
yeah,
20,
for some
yeah.
reason, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Results were
Which
water
was
softener's working. There's something in there that's removing the chlorine,
okay.
and the TDS is pretty much the same. Anything under 500 is an okay number for TDS as far as standards are concerned. From a drinking water quality, the less it's in there, the more pure the water is. But some people like the taste of the water when it has stuff in it, so to speak. So.
And one thing that I learned is you can't really have pure water, right?
You'll never get perfectly pure water.
Right.
It's scientifically impossible, I guess. But the pharmaceutical companies and the electronics companies come very, very close to that, but not quite. For our purposes, any TDS under 10 or 20, we can't really taste the difference between that and zero TDS water.
So what is like the main differences then? I mean, what's the benefits? Is there a difference between the softener and the water treatment
Yeah, because
system
you are
she has?
using some form of carbon to remove the chlorine from the water as well. So that's
My
number one. You're
chlorine's
getting rid of the
down at
chlorine
0.
in the water.
So Julie's not with a softener. Julie's not removing chlorine.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, she's still got the chlorine in the water.
Okay. But how does that affect, like, let's say, appliances and clothes and teeth, as we were talking?
Right, right. What happens is, it's kind of gross, but we'll pass it on. Maybe we'll just do it that way so you don't have to touch it. This is a hard water pipe, and that's what happens to the inside of your pipes with hard water. It
So
builds
that
up.
started off as just a very thin rim.
Yeah. It starts
That's the
out
buildup.
just, it's all the buildup that happens of hard water in your pipes. When
How
you
long
have-
does it take to get like that?
Well, that was down in the
Thanks.
water bond. The water was 26 grains hard, and it took
Gotcha.
about a year. I've had, different areas. It just depends on how.
I'm sorry, that is after a year?
That was after a year.
Wow.
Yeah. This was in an apartment building, so obviously they used a little bit more water. The people on the third floor couldn't get
Water pressure.
water pressure in the shower for some reason.
goodness.
Yeah, wonder why. Right?
Well, yeah.
But anyway, when you remove the hardness from the water, now the chlorine can come in direct contact with the copper pipe. And the chlorine is corrosive, and it will eventually eat away at the copper pipe and the solder joints and things like that. So that's one of the
Other
reasons why you
issues.
want to get rid of the chlorine if you have a water softener. The other reason is water softener resin, the stuff that actually does the softening process, is a polymer. It's a little plastic bead. The chlorine attacks those little plastic beads and breaks them down, and they end up backwashing down the drain. And so eventually, over a course of a typical family, like 7 to 10 years, the resin inside the softener turns to mush, and it's useless at that point. You have to dump the whole softener and start over, or buy a new one. So,
So I have a question. We
Okay.
have zero hardness,
right,
so
so
the
your
water's
softener's
soft.
working, right.
But we have 0.13 with the chlorine, so
Right.
you would recommend getting a,
Some form of carbon in front of the water softener in order to remove